Hey guys, this is Jamie Peters from Jamie Peters Photography. So today I just want to go over search engine optimization, or short for SEO. So basically, I guess I just want to go over what SEO actually is. SEO basically is how Google or other search engines view your site. So it's basically how you show up in the search engines. And there's several different things that you can do to ensure that you and your business and your website can show in Google and other types of search engines. I would have to say, for me in my business, probably about 90% of the referrals I get are from word of mouth from previous clients or current clients, and then about the other 10% or so is via Google or other search engines. So people, when they're looking for like a wedding photographer or a senior portrait photographer, or like family photos, things like that, they're gonna go into Google usually first, and they're gonna type in what they're looking for. So, for example, if here is Google, I just have this opened up under my business name so I can show you something else in just a minute. But in this search bar right here, they're going to type in where they're located. And then they're going to type in what they're looking for. So, for example, I am based in Fort Dodge, but I also use a studio that's located in Windsor Heights, which is in the Des Moines, Iowa area. So, for instance, if there's somebody that's looking for a wedding photographer in Fort Dodge, where I'm based, they're either going to type in wedding photographers in Fort Dodge or Fort Dodge wedding photographers, something like that. Those right there are your key words. Keywords are a big deal for your SEO and your visibility. So, for instance, I see a lot in photographers' websites, designers' websites, just basically creatives. Now I'm talking about the site title and the site description. So, for example, this right here is my site title. I actually am in the middle of working on my website, so this is showing a bit differently than what's in the browser bar, but I haven't updated it yet. Anyway, so this is the site title, and then this little paragraph down here is the description. So most of my keywords would be Iowa, destination, because I'm trying to get into some more travel weddings, and then wedding, portrait, things like that. So, for instance, a lot of times when I go to somebody's site, this title right here will either have just their business name, it'll have home, welcome, something like that. That's not helping you at all. You really, really need to have keywords within your site title. So, for instance, this says Jamie Peters Photography, has colon, and then says Iowa and destination wedding and portrait photographer. And I actually changed it to Iowa and destination wedding photographer / Jamie Peters Photography. So, I mean, it's similar to what's showing up on Google now, so I'm not really worried about it. So then under my description, it says authentic storytelling for those in love. Iowa-based fine art documentary style wedding and portrait photographer, available for travel and destinations worldwide. It kind of cuts off a little bit, but you get the idea. So as you notice right here, this is bold. The reason this is bold is because I typed in Jamie Peters Photography in the search bar. So anything that had, see, like down here, has my full business name. So anything that has photographer or the whole thing in it, they're going to pop up on this page. So let me show you another example. I've searched this before, as you can tell. Photographers in Fort Dodge, Iowa. So we gotta wait for that to load for a second. Okay, so I'll go over that in just a second. So if you scroll down a little bit, here I am right here. I'm 4 down from the top. That is amazing. And then 2 down is my Facebook page. The biggest thing that I can tell you is with Google and other search engines, if you are not showing on page 1, you will not be found. Client psychology tells us that if you're showing up on page 10, on page 20, anything beyond that, the client is not going to find you, point blank. You really, really, really need to be on this first page, or at least within the first 5. Because when people do their searches, they don't typically go past page 5. But I'm doing great right here because I'm already on first page twice. You know, my SEO is really good, so that's kind of why I'm going over this, to help other people. And what I have done, because I actually did this about a year ago. I started with the SEO. Prior to about a year ago, I had no clue what the heck SEO was. And once I found out what it was and what it would do for my business, I was like on board. So, I mean, within a 6-week period, I just started getting all these inquiries that I'd never gotten before. And I think it's really due to the SEO improvement. Another big thing with your SEO is making sure you have a listing on Google, like I have here. So I show up when you type in photographers in Fort Dodge, Iowa. It always shows the maps and then people located on the maps first. So technically I show up 3 times on page 1, actually, because of this. So how you go about doing this basically is you create a Google Plus profile and you enter in your address, city, phone number, website, email, all of that type of thing, and then you'll pop up right here on this map. So that's what that is. Anyway, so my biggest thing is with the site title and the site description. So start with that. Make it very descriptive, keywords. So remember that. So then I'm going to go to my website. So this is my website. I'm actually in the middle of updating right now. So some of these pictures may be moved around. Things may be changed. It's a little kind of wonky right now. But and I've got my cover page. So when you type in jamiepeters.com, it goes straight to this cover page that says the website's under construction. But we're actually going through the individual pages that aren't live under my domain right now. So, okay, so for starters, I use Squarespace for my website provider. I use GoDaddy for my domain and my email. And it costs me, I think it's $160 a year or something for, everything. The website, email, hosting, everything. So, that's pretty decent. Anyway, I know that there are other website providers out there. My website's specific to Squarespace. You can find them at squarespace.com. However, a lot of these things are going to apply to you whether you use WordPress, Show It Site, Weebly, Wix. However, I would not recommend Wix at all. It's horrible for SEO. I think if you want really good SEO, go for Squarespace, Show It, or WordPress. Those are the top 3. So, anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on that I'm using Squarespace. So if you're using something different than Squarespace, what I'm going to be talking about can still be done. It will just be in different areas of your admin panel. Okay, so this is my website. Logo, navigation, and my site is a parallax scrolling. This is the home page, and like I said, some of this stuff is going to be changed. But, I mean, you kind of get the idea, you know, you just scroll down. And another big thing is under your, this is my footer. So in your footer, you want to make sure that you also have keywords within your footer. So down here, it says copyright 2017, Jamie Peters Photography. Then it says Iowa-based fine art wedding and portrait photographer available for travel plus destination weddings. And then I also put my location right here, because the thing is, the biggest thing is when somebody's looking at your website, they want to know within a minute or two where you are. Because if somebody's looking for a wedding photographer in Des Moines, they don't want to work with somebody that's in California, obviously, because they'd have to fly them out. Unless they really want to do that, that's cool too. But they really, really want to know where you're based. Because if you're based somewhere that they don't need the work, they want to know that right away before going through your entire site. So the easiest way to do that is within your footer in the bottom. Also on your about page, your contact page, all three of those spots, make sure it says where you're located in multiple places. I also have this content section on my homepage that is just below this banner that, you know, just talks a little bit about me. And I also put in the content, Iowa-based photography studio, but also offers travel and destination events worldwide. So I'm telling them, you know, within a second after they get on the site, they scroll down past this banner and bam, there it is. They know where I'm at. So I probably have my location stated probably 10 or 20 different times throughout my website. That also helps with your SEO, because on a daily, monthly, and weekly basis sometimes, Google is crawling your site. And so what that means is it checks your site for any updates. It looks to see where your keywords are at and that type of thing. And then that determines where you show on the search. So you want to make sure you have lots of content within your site. I see more specifically with photographers, most of their sites are just pictures. And then they have a little blurb on their about page and maybe a little blurb on their contact and nothing else throughout the entire site. Because as you'll notice, I have a content block there that talks about, you know, what I do, why I do it, where I'm based. Then I have some reviews. Then I have some other things. And like I said, I'm still updating this. There's going to be some more content on this page. So then you go to my about page. It'll take a minute to load. Excuse me. Sorry, it's taking a minute here. Okay. So then you kind of scroll down. This also needs to be edited a bit. But, okay. So this is my about page. And right off the bat, I'm Jamie Peters, a fine art, documentary style wedding and portrait photographer based in Iowa. Right there. Right there. In the very first sentence says where I'm from. Then third paragraph down, it talks about where I'm based out of and where I'm willing to travel to. So there's more content there. Another big thing is with your blog posts. So I'm going to go into the blog. And I'm actually going to change, I think I'm going to change the layout of this blog because I really don't like the way it's laid out. But it's whatever. I'm still working on the website, so. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. I need to work on that. Okay. So, here we go. With my blog posts, I see a lot of this with other photographer sites as well. Your titles to your blog posts need to be keyword and content specific. So, a lot of what I see is somebody will put just the client's names. That's it. No. That is not helping you at all, except for the client that is specifically in those photos to see them. You need to be very specific in your title and in your excerpt. I'm not sure what it's called on WordPress or other sites, maybe your paragraphs, your description, whatever. You need to be very specific in there. So for instance, this was a wedding back in March, and this is Chantel and Nick. So I put Chantel plus Nick / United Methodist Church / Fairbank, Iowa wedding photographer. So I do this for every single blog post. I put the client's name, I put the venue, then I put the city and state where it was shot and wedding photographer, or if it's a portrait session, portrait photographer. If it's a senior portrait, I put senior portrait photographer. So you get the idea. And then in the little paragraph, I explain what was going on, a little personal to them, and then I put what date they were married on, where, the venue, state, city. And then if there were two venues, like they got married at a church and then had a reception hall, which happens often, then I'll put that additional. Another awesome way to optimize for SEO, and I do this for every single wedding. We gotta wait for it to load, sorry. The other thing that I do is, in the blog title, I just copy and paste this into the blog title, so then it shows up that way. That also helps with SEO. So, with every single wedding, I list the vendors within the paragraph. And I tag them within the, just like starting from top to bottom, I tag every single vendor. That also helps with SEO because a lot of times a bride will be looking for a photographer that is shot at the venue, at that church, whatever it is. And then other times they also search for photographers that have shot a wedding that have used certain vendors like florists and hairstylists and things like that. So it's always a good idea to tag the vendors for that reason. The other reason I also tag the vendors is because obviously I want credit for my work, but so don't they. And they absolutely deserve it. They work just as hard as any other vendor, so they deserve a tag. So then basically below that is all the photos from the blog post as you kind of scroll down. So I'm just going to scroll through. So in Squarespace, there's a couple of different ways that you can display images within a blog post, or with any post for that matter. So I used to do per image, and then there would be like a big huge gap in between each photo, and I didn't like that. So I changed it to the stacked gallery block, and so as you can see now, there's no gap in between images. They just show up as one whole thing, which I like. What is that? Oh, must have been a loading thing. So anyway, so this is Kristen and Nick's wedding, or excuse me, Chantel and Nick. I have another client named Kristen and Nick. Confused for a minute, sorry. So anyway, this is some of their photos from their wedding on March 4th. So yeah, we had a lot of fun there. So that's what that looks like. Be very descriptive there. Let's see. And then these are just the galleries. Those are going to be changed soon. Okay, and then under the contact section, let's see. I always have, at the very top, I put my business name, and then I put where I'm based out of. Excuse me. And a link to my email, because some people don't like to fill out contact forms. So I put that email right in there, so then all they have to do is click on it, and they can email me instead of filling out the form. And then I have a cell phone that's for my business, so I have that directly under the email, because I do prefer phone call over email or Facebook message, just because things can be misunderstood via text. It's so much easier to just chat on the phone. It's easier for them and easier for me, you know, and I get a better idea of what they're looking for. And this just has a little blurb down here about to inquire for a wedding, elopement, or portrait session. I'll respond within 24 hours of receiving your email. Talk with you soon. Yeah, you definitely need to put something here that explains to them what happens after they fill this out. So, how long it'll take for you to respond to them. So, I used to have a really super long contact form, and I kind of got the idea that I might have been missing out on some clients because they just didn't want to fill out a long drawn out form. So I changed it a little bit, so obviously it's not that long. It's not as long as it was. So I get their basic info, like their name, email, phone number, all their contact stuff. They tick this circle that pertains to what they're inquiring. So if they're inquiring for a wedding, they're going to click wedding. And then their wedding date or desired session date, their budget, price point, how they found us, and their message. So they can include their location, any other details. And then once I get the inquiry, then I go through the other things that I need to know, like the vision for their day and their colors and things like that, unless they told me in their message. So it's a pretty simple, much more simple form. Okay, so let me go into my admin panel. So, what else do I want to go over here? Oh, okay. The other thing, I guess I don't really need to be in the admin panel, sorry. Let's go into weddings real quick. And this is the last thing that I'm going to go over. Probably one of the biggest things that you need to do. So it's taking a minute to load. Yeah, I need to work on loading speeds. I'm not really sure why it's taking this long. Okay, so currently I just have a little blurb that kind of explains how much things cost, what it includes. But as I'm updating this, I think I'm going to do just an individual page that is the investment page that talks about how much things start at and that type of thing, and then just have the galleries as a secondary thing. Okay, so here is my wedding gallery. So this part is really super time consuming, but trust me, with SEO it is so worth it. Okay, so let's just click on an image. So the biggest thing that you can do as far as your SEO goes is to SEO optimize your file names, or your what they call alt tag, your alternative tag. So basically what you're doing is your final digital file is going to be something like image underscore and then a number, something like that, just based on whether you use like Sony, Nikon, Canon, whatever. So that's what you want to change. And you want to change it to be content specific, location specific, genre to specific. So, for instance, when I go and change the file names, I start with what's going on in the photo. So, if it's a wedding, I put wedding, and then I put an underscore, and then I put the venue, then I put city and state, and then underscore, and then I will sometimes put like the client's name or something like that. But in your new file names, make sure it says the location, it says what's going on in the photo. Those are the two biggest things. And if it's at a high profile venue, make sure that venue name is within that file name, and the city and state. Those are the two biggest things. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, that would be so time consuming to go through and do this for each individual photo in my portfolio on my website. And I'm not just talking about your galleries. I'm talking about the galleries, all your blog posts, every single picture that is on your website throughout the entire site. Because those show up in Google when somebody searches for these specific keywords. The easiest way to do it is this way. I'm opening Lightroom. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Lightroom, who all uses it. I use Lightroom for probably 90% of my work, maybe 98%. And then all my, hard retouching, the stuff that's really, really going to take some time, I do in Photoshop, or if I need to remove objects, things like that. The other cool thing I like about Lightroom is in the Develop module, under the, I think it's under the Temp and Tint, or maybe it's above it, I can't remember. There's actually a tool in there where you can adjust where certain tones hit, or where the exposure hits on one person in the photo's face. And you can change that. It's the adjustment brush. I love using the adjustment brush. It's just amazing. So I don't do a lot in Photoshop. Most of my stuff's in Lightroom. So anyway, in order to change the file names, the easiest way that I have found is Lightroom. So basically, all you would do is you would import, and you'd bring in all the photos in import that you're going to change the file names. And then like when you go, when you're editing in Lightroom and you go to save an image, you right click. You can go up under file too, but file and photo. But I just right click and you click export. Take it a minute to show up. There it goes. So then it opens up an export, and you want to make sure it goes into whatever specific folder you want it to go into. I personally, in my external hard drive, I created a folder entitled Squarespace website content in there, and then I put subfolders into that, and each one is for different type of content. And that's so that if anything ever happens to your website, all your content, all your photos, everything is in there, and you can go back. So this, whatever photos I'm editing go right into there and into the subfolder entitled Galleries. And where you want to change the file name is right here under File Naming. You want to click Rename To, and then go Custom Name. Okay? And so for instance, this wedding right here that I'm working on some edits for my website it was at 6 events in Des Moines, Iowa. So what I would do is I would type in wedding underscore sticks events underscore Des Moines, Iowa, _ and then after that you could type in the client's names, or you could kind of just explain what's going on in the photo. So for instance, say this image right here is what we wanted to save. And this image is just a fun wedding party being silly type of photo. So then after that you could put wedding party fun shot or something like that. So that would be your new site. That'd be your new image title right there. See how descriptive it is? You've got the genre of photography as wedding, and then you've got the event, which is 6 events, and then you've got location, which is Des Moines, Iowa. Then you have a descriptor, content specific, wedding party fun shot. So anyway, so that's what you would do, and you would export into that file. So you go through each one of these photos and you rename them to content specific. That really, really helps with your SEO. Images are big, videos are bigger. So it just kind of depends on what you have. It's always nice to have kind of a you know, like a promo video type of thing. One cool tool that there is Animoto. So it's animoto.com. They just released their marketing videos for business. So you can mix photos and video within that. And then there's like these text blocks and all kinds of crazy things you can do with them. And you can use those for promos. It's really, really neat. It used to just be slideshows of photos and that's all you could really do. But now they have the marketing videos that you can do, which is really pretty sweet. Those would be good for on your website and on social media and that type of thing. So anyway, this is basically what I have for you. If you have any questions or want to add anything to what I have said, you can just let me know. All right. See you next time.